mentioned before, gay rights, women's bodies, ability for people to get married, immigration. In retrospect, how much of an own goal for Democrats do you think the focus on identity politics has been?
I'm sorry, how much of
an own goal or an unforced error has the focus on identity politics
again,
been?
you use the word unforced. I think it has been
Let's
really...
go with own goal.
Okay, this is what I think. I think fighting to make sure that women can control their own bodies and are not second-class citizens, enormously important. The need to end all forms of bigotry in this country, enormously important. But you can, chew bubblegum and walk at the same time. You can fight for women's rights and fight for an economy that works for the working class of this country, not just the billionaires. It's not either or. The Democrats have been strong on those social issues, identity politics. But they have not been strong in standing up for the working class of this country.
I think that the focus on identity politics, unless the Democratic Party has a sane answer to questions around immigration, crime, trans activism, DEI, I think it's going to be difficult to get the electorate to resonate. I mean, look at what was the most powerful ad that was run during the campaign? Kamala is for they, them, Trump is for you. Why did that resonate so much?
Oh, well, you're raising another question.
Hold up.
I don't know. Maybe you know the answer. How many people are trans in America? Do you know? What percentage?
It'll be less than a gay, and that's between 1% and 3%.
Yeah. A tiny number of people.
So why is so much attention?
I'll tell you
focused on
why.
that?
Glad you asked that question. All right. What are demagogues?
Welcome to Pegasus versus the Worlds, where we take on challenges, comedy, trending topics, and some travel.
City boy!
We're taking a trip to the other side today, you guys. For all you non-believers, our old God, the squad, and TS, whatever Big Pun said. Yeah, we back. Yesterday, we took some, listen to the right side of things. Today, we're listening to Young Bernie. Young Bernie! Anyways, shout out to all the people unsubscribing when I do these videos. I love it. Keep it coming. People that say these things, right? They're like, they say this literally in the comments. I love your content, but because of this, I had to unsubscribe, right? And they'll make it seem like because I have an idea, right? And it's just an idea. It's not literally a belief yet, right? Because I make stances. I come to conclusions and then make stances. Sometimes I'm just on here winging it, talking. But because I just veer off into the weeds of maybe the right side of things, or a socialist idea or a right-wing talking point, people really unsubscribe, and they call me the extreme person, the radical person, where you couldn't even just let me have a conversation and talk out loud on the internet. Meanwhile, trying to do good for society, trying to raise kids, trying to do all this shit, but who's really radical in their thinking? That's the question I pose to you. Who's really radical, right? You can't even listen to me talk. You're so extreme. Oh my God, he's going down. I just can't stand his MAGA talking points. I can't stand that he doesn't rock. I can't stand that he called out Donald Trump for not releasing the files. Well, gonna be a lot of unsubscriptions today. Well, it is what it is. Today we're listening to Bernie, the Bernie Bros. And I'm gonna keep it real. What is he doing? Please don't tell me they're trying to get him to run for president again. Because that is the biggest problem in American politics, is we just have some old ass bruh. How old can you get and be a politician? That shit is crazy to me, right? And it seems like the young politicians have lost their damn mind a lot of times. So I don't know I don't know the answer, but I'm not hating on Bernie necessarily. But I stopped it at that point deliberately because he got, I'll tell you. He kind of got riled up. But let's listen to the other side today. And I think there's something there. There's something there at that beginning piece where he said the Democratic Party forgot about the working class. I think there's something there because I think there are some things that I agree with the Democratic Party, like figuring out our medical health care system in the proper way is important. That's one of the most important things in my opinion, right? Like, stop allocating all these resources to sanctuary cities and all these wars. Let's figure out our medical system without overtaxing the actual citizens. That's what I think, right? Hey, it is what it is. Let's listen to the other side today. If you guys rock with me, I'm Black Pegasus, link in the description to my other channels. This is Modern Wisdom. We're rocking with Chris. I think it's just a clip, so you can check this out. Chris Williamson. And let's hear a level-headed conversation where people don't have to, well, you guys are going to lose your mind no matter what. Let's just talk.
And that's between 1% and 3%.
Yeah. A tiny number of people.
So why is so much attention being
I'll tell you
focused on
why.
that?
Glad you asked that question. All right. What do demagogues always do? Right.
Them and us.
That's right.
Ooh, Pink Floyd. Oh, Pink Floyd, Dark Side of the Moon. I'm just coming down from that reaction. Them and us. Wow, let's go.
All right. So here you have a country. We have massive income and wealth inequality. We got 60% of people struggling to put food on the table. You got a climate crisis. You have the United States in recent international exam. Our kids were 37th in the world in terms of math and science, falling far behind China in terms of their educational attainments.
Inequality is going to get worse with AI as well.
Have a healthcare system falling apart, etc. Sane people. Now, you may disagree with me on an issue, but we put them on the table, right? Okay. Do we have a healthcare crisis? Yeah. Yes. What's your idea? Here's my idea. Argue it out. Let's do it. Correct or not correct? Got a housing crisis. All right. That's what Democratic with a small
But that
d.
was not what was focused on.
I know. That is what real, with a small d, democratic politics is supposed to be about. How do we work together to solve those problems that you and I and others recognize as real problems, right? Okay. What does Trump do? Trump essentially...
But come on, just on that, it doesn't need to be about what is it that Trump was focused on. This, to me, feels like an own goal. The focus was so much. This wasn't being made up.
Bro, thank you, Chris. This is a breath of fresh air because Chris isn't like a crazy right-winger, bro. He's not. But like, bro, when Democratic talking points is always Trump this, Trump that, this is why people unsubscribe and melt in the comments, because you can't, I don't give a fuck about Trump. Trump is not the end-all be-all to everything in life existence. He is not God, bro. People are so deranged, and it's just like, dog, talk about the working class, bro. Talk about the healthcare system. What are y'all gonna do? Stop, well, Trump did this. Oh my gosh. Anyways, all right, let's see what's popping.
Out of nowhere by the Republican Party, this seemed to be things that were being said by the Dems,
Right.
and the focus that was...
Right. Said by, well, first thought, I am not going to argue with you as to whether or not the Democrats have, by and large, turned their backs on the economic needs of working people.
Thank you, Bernie.
to focus on other issues.
Yes. All right. I've been making that point for quite a while. And the other critique of the Democrats is they have refused to recognize the severity of the crises that we face. As you and I speak, there's real pain in this country, right? People are really struggling.
It's kind of a double whammy, right? That you are focusing on something which only affects a minority of people, which is pretty horrendous in terms of messaging, which doesn't seem to resonate in the same way. And also, there are all of these problems that would be really good for you to focus on.
If you address them.
Yeah, and probably would resonate with more people, which is why, I mean, both me and you agree on this, which is it does feel an awful lot like the Democrats are out of touch with the working class. And is it surprising that they lost ground with them?
No. The answer is, I think after the election, and I worked very hard for Kamala Harris. After the election, I said something to the effect that we should not be surprised that after the Democrats abandoned the working class of this country, the working class abandoned the Democrats.
Yeah.
All right. And I believe that to be true. I would say that there's good news out there, and you're seeing again with Mr. Mamdani here in New York and elsewhere. Some people are catching on that we got to deal with that reality. But I want to get back.
I haven't seen anything that Mamdani has said that actually helps the working class. It helps the class that does not have money. And I think there's something like I'm open to like being like, hey, You know, we want to help people. I don't want to see people starve. I don't want to see people in poverty, etc. But when he says shit like that, I'm like, hold on. What has Mob Donnie said to help the working class? I get their arguments about billionaires versus the working class, right? But they always leave out themselves, where these people are multi-millionaires, and people who are entrepreneurs in the 100,000 air class trying to get to a different level. Like, there's all these barriers to entry, and you see it within the tax brackets and stuff like that. There's certain things that Bernie, I'm like, yo, he's like there in my opinion, but it's like, dog, like to get to the final point, I'm like, what does that, like, it's crazy. It's crazy. But anyways, let me continue to listen. But you guys let me know, because I'm not following Mabdani like that. And he has a huge following in the East Coast. People are loving him. Who knows where that's going to go. But I haven't heard him really say anything. Maybe he's like for the unions and all this stuff. Maybe, I don't know. And I've just missed that. I don't know. But I've heard the socialist talking points, right? And that's because when you hear it from the right, it's like, yo, he's a socialist communist, da, 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 da. And I want to hear the whole thing out. But I have not, like, when we talk about the working class, we're talking about the middle class, dog. Straight up. We're talking about the middle class, the buffering system that makes America great, the land of opportunity, right? The middle class. And the stuff I've heard a lot of times would take from the middle class. So y'all tap in, let me know. I could be tripping. Again, I'm open to conversation. That's the crazy. When people say they're unsubscribing, I'm like, okay, cool, bye. Because obvious you can't have a conversation. Throw something in the comments. Be like, this is where I disagree with you, P, and da-da-da. And sometimes I'll read stuff. I'll go start looking shit up. Like, some of my talking points come from you guys opening my mind to little things, nuances. I'm like, there's a disruption in the force. But anyways, I'm not here. I'm not an expert, bro. I'm not a political pundit. I'm not a politician. I pay taxes, so I want to know where my taxes are going. That's it. I just want to learn. Have some.
To Trump, because you talk about, these ads, that success. Yep. What demagogues always do, what do? It's them.
So Trump's a demagogue. Got it. Okay. Let's see.
And us, you take a powerless minority.
Obama wasn't a demagogue. Bush wasn't a demagogue, and neither was Bill Clinton. Trump is the demagogue. Got it. Okay.
Party, right? In the 30s in Germany, it was the Jews, it was gypsies. In this country, historically, it has been blacks and gays. You take a people and you say, you can't afford housing? You're not making it up money. You know whose fault it is? Hey, Chris, you know whose fault it is? It's the undocumented.
I'm not convinced. Well, maybe the undocumented thing, actually, yes. If you were going to say the trans side of stuff, which was the ad that we're talking about in particular, I think the finger was being pointed at Kamala rather than being pointed at the group. It wasn't these people, this group of people are who's wrong.
That she was focusing. And they took that out of, do you think, how many times during her campaign did she talk about that issue? You take something.
1,000 hours of someone talking, they're going to slip.
I mean, in this argument, like, I agree with Chris, but Trump is always like the left, the radical left, the Democrats. Like, so I understand what Bernie is saying as well. So, but they're talking about something specific. They're talking about the ad that got people on the Trump train, right? Which was hilarious, by the way. That was one of the greatest ads, yo. Kamala's for they, them. Trump is for you. You're like, what? Like, that's a good ad, bro. Come on, y'all. Stop it.
But every so often.
Yeah. Or you say one thing and you take it out of context. But the point about demagogues is they do not address the real problems facing the overwhelming majority of the people. They demonize. I mean, you listen to some of Trump's speeches. And I was, heard them. I was there at the State of the Union, a few feet away from him. The horrible and ugly things he says. They're rapists, they're murderers, they're drug dealers. Truth is, the crime rate in the undocumented community in America is lower than it is for Native Americans. They're hardworking people. All right, should they, et cetera, et cetera.
I've seen that, and I haven't really looked it up in depth. But what I was going to say is, I thought the same thing. And when you start doing these deep dives on Trump's wild speeches, because he kind of rambles and goes on these crazy rants, from my understanding, when he said, I'm not going to repeat it, what Bernie Sanders said, but I was under the understanding that he was specifically talking about MS-13. He wasn't talking about the Mexican people or da-da-da-da. He was specifically talking about getting the criminals and stuff out of the country. Now, we have gotten to a point where, that's what they're supposed to be doing, but the collateral damage is just undocumented people, period, are getting, taken out, and people seem to have a problem with that. I'm not going to go into depth. It just is what it is. My thing is, if the government allocated the resources to the American people, the actual citizens, properly, I think American citizens that are against the undocumented stuff would have a little more grace and be like, okay, we have this, they would just be more open to that conversation. But when you're a place where the veterans aren't getting proper health care, the citizens aren't getting proper health care, there's a crazy homeless population, there's a crazy homeless mental health population, all these different things are going crazy. It's hard to, like, if something does happen, get police, there's not like a police presence like there used to be, so it's harder to get help in certain aspects. When all of that is happening, and then you see your leaders, your local leadership, just worshiping this concept of resources to, let's say I'm in a sanctuary state, and it's like and you're seeing your state's in a deficit, right? I think our state's in a $250 million deficit, but the allocation for the sanctuary city stuff was about 180 mil. I could be off with those numbers, but you start seeing these things and you just question it. Even if those numbers are off, when you see that the citizens are struggling because we're in this high inflation, we just got through the pandemic, nobody, well, that's not true because some people, but a lot of people just want to see our government take care of the citizens first, and then they're just like, okay, let's look at these other things. And that's just the honest truth on the regular working person. And anyone who doesn't understand that, I struggle understanding them, because I'm like, it doesn't make sense. Like when you're in an airplane, right? Your mask falls and you have to put on your mask, then put it on your child. If you put it on your child, you will not make it, and then you can't protect your child, which can't even protect itself. There's an order of operations. So when people argue with me in the comments, they're like, well, this, that, and all these little, but I'm like, bro, the government is allocating resources to non-citizens over citizens, and citizens are upset about it. That's it. It's that simple.
But what he does successfully.
And if it's not that simple, holler at me in the comments, because, I could be missing something, and I'm open to that conversation.
Is takes people's frustrations and points them to a powerless minority, and that's kind of a horrific thing to do.
Do you agree with the activists calling to a...
No. We're pointing at the government. The government is allocating the resources. So which side of the aisle is allocating our resources to things that we like? Now this is the left and the right. The left and the right, everyone's been kind of like, yo, we don't want to be involved in wars. Like, that's just, both sides are just like, yo, we want to get out of these wars, dog. Like, what's popping, right? And the immigration stuff, that's kind of an aisle thing. But yeah, it's not like, I'm not looking at immigrants and Mexican people or Haitian people, get out of my country. I'm not looking at that. I'm like, bro, I'm looking at where the government allocates resources and what they're trying to do to make America stronger economically for the citizens. That's what I'm looking at.
Abolish ICE?
No, not right now, but you want...
Hold on, what is
But to a powerless minority, and that's kind of a horrific thing to do.
Do you agree with the activists calling to abolish ICE?
No, not right now, but you want... But do I believe, on the other hand, that you should have ICE now running amok, knocking down doors, dragging people? I mean, this is America. People with masks around themselves, often in plain clothes, picking people up off the street, throwing them in vans, and in some cases deporting them to Sudan? Really? Is that really America? So, we need to have sensible, what we need, and what we have needed for decades, since Ronald Reagan, in fact, is a sane comprehensive immigration policy. So I think what ICE is doing right now under Trump's directive is horrific.
So this is what I'm going to say about ICE. I am going to say one thing that disturbs me. All these people in authoritative positions wearing masks is scary to me. That's not good, dog. Because I've ran into some power-hungry cops, because we're humans. We make mistakes. There's a bad apple out there. And being able to cover your face, and I don't know if they're covering their badge numbers and shit too, but there's no recourse. if someone is a live wire and on some bullshit. I just think that's wild. Now, I know they're saying they cover their face because a lot of the leftists are literally going out trying to, like, you know, Charlie Kirk people, right? So I'm like, oh shit, like, I don't know the answer, but I don't like that we have people in federal positions of authority wearing masks. That's crazy to me. That's that's what criminals do. They wear bandanas over their face. Like, bruh, I don't know, man. I mean, am I tripping, you guys? Holler at your boy in the comments.
And it is part of this movement toward authoritarianism. It's not dissimilar from sending the military into Portland, Oregon, or Chicago, wherever he's sending them to control a rebellion, really. I'm not aware that the people of Portland are trying to overthrow the United States government.
I saw a video from what looked like maybe the subway in New York of some guy that didn't look to have official credentials holding up a subway, flashing a light toward what must have been the driver and trying to accost some person that maybe didn't look like they were fully American in terms of heritage, but I don't think was in a ICE official uniform. What is this? Because in the UK, there's this meme of citizen arrest. Have you ever heard of that? Right. What's happening? What is that?
Look, if you have people, and sometimes they have masks, sometimes they don't, no one disputes the fact that they are picking up people who are American citizens, right? But in this country, you have a history of due process.
What's funny is I fit the description. Yeah, like dog. Like, let's just keep it real. I ain't dumb, man. Like, shit. Like, you know, I fit the description straight up. I look Latin, you know? Like, I think I look black and Latino, but I look like you know, like someone who could be Dominican, Puerto Rican, Cuban. Like, that's what I look like. You know, I'm black and Mexican, but I do look like, I remember when I was in the East Coast, I think it was like Providence, and I walked into a Walmart and it's a big Dominican population, and everyone just started talking to me in Spanish. I was like, orale. Oh, I don't know anything else, but I love you, man. Damn. So it is kind of wild when you're just like, oh shit, like, what if I just got popped one day? I'm just wrong place, wrong time. And that shit happens, dog. That shit happens. I better have my damn ID. Shit.
If I think you're guilty of something, you get arrested. You have due process, your right to an attorney, a right to defend yourself.
Is this a grassroots
All right,
thing?
and then what? I have to answer your question. If you have government agents do it, somebody else comes along and says, hey, they're doing it. You're under arrest. Really? And you're seeing some of that as well. And that is vigilantism and fright.
Right, okay. It's amateur bounty hunter type
yes, exactly.
stuff. Okay. A quick aside.
See, I haven't seen that. I have not seen that but I haven't seen the clip he's talking about, but that's just wild. I like listening to Bernie in some capacity because I'll open my pathways. Like, for example, him calling out ICE and, like, when you have people a part of that system and in a place of power and authority, like, wearing a mask is scary to me. Like, I'm like, bro, like, I need to be able to recognize you and be like, hey, like, especially if you are a citizen and something went awry, dog, there needs to be, like, that's what our whole system's built upon, right? Justice and proper recourse. And don't try to get up on here, because I get the whole Blue Lives Matter thing in the sense of, like, I respect police. I have a lot of friends who are in the police force. You know, a lot of policemen train jujitsu and martial arts. So there are a lot of good police officers, but we're not going to just act like there's not some corrupt ones, and to abstain from, like, crazy stuff happening. You know, you've seen them plant stuff, that people are planting drugs, guns on people. They're, sneaking, getting the stash. They're taking money. Like, bro, there's corruption everywhere. So let's just not act like it's not there. So when you start covering your badge number, and if you're wearing a mask, I'm not saying they're covering their badges. I don't know. I don't know how any of that works, but they are wearing masks. I've seen that. And that, it's like, yo, you don't want brothers to have dreadlocks, when they're going to work in a professional setting. Why the hell are we wearing masks when you're in a position of that much power and authority? Again, I guess they're saying it's for protection, but I don't know. That's sus to me. So let me know in the comments. Again, I try to take time to rock with both sides and not play the fence. I want to listen and hear. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I do over here. And if y'all can't rock with that. Anyways, also for YouTube, everything was taken off of, I watched this from Chris Williamson's channel. So don't trip on me, man. All right, I'll holla at y'all.